All right. So, Roxy Zebek. He's the hot topic right now in One Piece. Let me get right into this video with talking about what you've seen on the thumbnail. So, is he the strongest character in the show? That's what a lot of people are thinking so far. And I'm here to break down to you why he might not be and why, if he is, you can't really say that yet. There's no proof. All right. So what do I mean? Yes, we found out before. We've known that Rox's crew is the strongest crew in the world. And in this recent chapter, we found out that he killed an admiral. Now, I'll talk about the killing the admiral part first because I realize that a lot of people tend to do the power scaling thing and they have this agenda thing going on and all that sort of stuff, right? So when it comes to Rox killing an admiral, people look at that and they use the power scaling mindset of like, oh, that's a feat. That's a feat. Nobody else did that. Well, technically, yes. If nobody else in the show has been known to kill an admiral, does that necessarily mean they cannot kill an admiral? Ask yourself that question. Do you think Shanks can't kill an admiral? Do you think Garp cannot kill an admiral? Okay. Do you think Roger couldn't kill an admiral or Whitebeard even? Do you think Whitebeard couldn't kill an admiral? The question of have they done it or not yet is what's important here. Okay, like you're looking at the wrong thing. Is to say that since Rox did do it means that he's stronger than everybody else because nobody else has killed an admiral. That's almost disingenuous. I don't know if you're even being real with that thought process right there. It sounds like an agenda to me. But let me go on and talk about the God Valley incident. Because a lot of people are giving it a lot more stock than they think and than they remember, I should say. A lot of people tend to remember this for some reason. They think that it was a 2v1, that Rox was fighting Garp and Roger in a 2v1 scenario. Okay? That's simply just not true. That's simply just not true. Especially if we're going off of what we know and we only know a little bit, so anything else is headcanon if you're trying to say anything else happened. From what we know is that Garp teamed up with Roger to defeat the Rocks pirates. Not to defeat Rocks, not to fight Rocks himself because he was so strong, but they teamed up to defeat the Rocks pirates because the pirate crew was the strongest crew and they cannot be stopped. Why are they the strongest crew? You can pause this here to get the other information on your own if you don't remember exactly what happened. But that's why Garp became a hero that day. And then mind you, the events of what happened that day are not exactly as they seem. So why Garp became a hero exactly, and the reason why he was protecting the Celestial Dragons, who we know that he hates, and then he's enabling their slavery in all their ways, which is why people try to give Garp a lot of flack in the One Piece community. They try to say he's actually evil and all that sort of shit, right? The circumstances might not be exactly as they seem. He is already a Navy man, and he's possibly forced to help the Celestial Dragons in that situation. I don't know what the Rocks pirates were exactly doing, but we know they were running amok. And then we also have to include the additional mention of the gods knights being there too, because in the past, when Sengoku spoke about the God Valley events earlier, we only know what he said is that the Celestial Dragons were there. He said Celestial Dragons were there and Garp was protecting them. But then once we get more context about situations that happened or that were only mentioned in the past, but now we're actually seeing them, we know that the Celestial Dragons were accompanied by their own military force. They weren't just relying on Garp and the rest of the Navy members that Garp was with to provide them protection. Okay? So we know that, so that makes it even more interesting. Garp being a Navy man, he would have to know that the Celestial Dragons and the God's Knights exist and that they were there on God Valley. He possibly fought alongside some of the God's Knights as well. I don't know how they roll. I don't know if they make it a rule not to work with the Navy people because they're beneath them. I don't know, but that's a possibility too. But the reason why, like I said, the reason why the Rock's Pirates crew was so strong is because look at the members on the crew, bro. Look at the member. They have Whitebeard, Stussy, Gloriosa. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of big hitters on here. This is like if Roger's crew consisted of Garp, Odin, you know, and just other, like, just keep naming the big name people. You know, he had Mihawk on his crew. Like, just name people like that. If Roger had all those people on his crew, big hitters all day, like just left and right, like this crew does, then hell yeah, they'd be named the strongest crew. Okay? But does that mean that each individual themselves are strong enough to fight and do what they as a crew did together? Okay, no, I don't think if one of them could have did what the Rock's Pirates together accomplished. Meaning, like, I don't think Whitebeard alone could have walked into God Valley and did what they all did together. Like none of them could have achieved that by themselves at that point in time. You can argue maybe Kaido or somebody else later, but that'd be even a stretch too, because we know from this perspective we've got now that the God's Knights were awfully strong. So that means Garp and Roger were awfully strong too. And then you also have to take into consideration the fact that every time these characters like Garp and Whitebeard and Roger were ever shown or talked about later on, Oda gives himself he gives himself enough wiggle room by saying that these characters are out of their prime. They're not in their prime anymore. They say general vague things like that. So when he goes in the past and shows you them being so fucking strong that they look like they're keeping up with characters that we're seeing today, like, you know, God's Knights and stuff like that, it makes sense because what we've been seeing out of them being like the peak performers of the show, even Rayleigh being a peak performer fighting Kizaru, he's not even in his prime anymore. You have to consider that. So they're stronger in the past than they are when we even currently see them. That's another thing you have to remember and to take into consideration. So I guess two more things I want to mention before I forget them. One, Sengoku. You have to put some respect on his name, because for you to say that Rox is just possibly the strongest person in the show, you're forgetting about a lot of other characters, okay? Because Sengoku is really strong, okay? He's up there with Roger and Garp and everybody else. So I guess aside from all of that, the Rock's Pirates, I think the Rock's Pirate crew, I think they possibly, like I said earlier, that like the circumstances and the situation of what happened aren't exactly as they seem. I think that the Rock's Pirates split up on this day, not just because they got defeated, but I think, of course, the Marines, they're gonna tell the story they're gonna tell, but I think that they didn't just completely get beat up and destroyed, because it all wouldn't make sense given the additional information we have now surrounding the events. What am I referring to? I'm referring to things like Big Mom and Kaido getting their devil fruits from God Valley, okay, and they're having a deeper plan at God Valley, and the child slaves were even there, Kuma and all the other people, they were there at God Valley. So the fact that this is there and this exists means that I think the only logical explanation, because there's no way that the Rock's Pirates just got, you know, they encountered the people that they're supposed to be encountering, and there's no way that, you know, like, come on, look at this, look at the situation. The Marines get pulled back. I'm sure Garp didn't get pulled back. It's like extra situations and circumstances happening here, and you know, Kaido and the rest of them, they hear that Roger's even here. Kaido wants to go and fight Roger and all this other stuff, and then Garp is pulling up on his own looking for Roger, okay? There's a lot of other things happening. My point is, I'm ranting now. My point being is I think that Rox's crew will potentially disband in the middle of this event. Like, you know, Big Mom and Kaido for sure are gonna go walk off on their own and say, you know, screw this shit, we're gonna go get that devil fruit because this shit's getting really bad, the situation's getting bad. I think that's why Rox in the end is That's going to be one of the biggest contributors to him losing. I think that's going to be one of the biggest contributing factors to him losing is the fact that his team left and split up. I don't think everybody's going to split, obviously, right? A lot of these people possibly died here in God Valley, and probably even after, a little bit after, because we know Rox leaves God. I mean, we know Roger leaves God Valley after the events this day. How does he end up leaving God Valley? Like the Gods Knights are there. Roger, I mean, you know, Garp and the Marines are there. He teamed up with Garp, yes, but did they just give him immunity because of that? Like, okay, you teamed up with us, we're gonna let you go. Because he left and went on to continue to go to the Laugh-Tale and all of that and do his whole thing, and then he disbanded his crew and, you know, resigned himself to the government and all that. So yeah, there's a lot of things that need to get put in perspective because we have pieces and chunks, but we know for sure, for a fact, that it was not a 2v1 of Roger and Garp teaming up against Rox because he was too strong. That's not how it's even painted. Rox was not even, he's not even being painted like that now, and never was he in the past. Okay? So I don't know where people got that from. His crew was the strongest crew in the world. Like, look at the people on the crew. Okay? So, I mean, I don't know how much I need to reiterate that. There's nothing else to say at this point. This video's over, I guess. But one more thing I should say, I will make a video about Buggy and if he's Rox's son and Blackbeard's brother. But I'm out.